Hello, this is Victor, the Director of Content for BlueDAG. Today I will show you how to create and manage reasonable accommodations in BlueDAG's Grievance Plus software module. We'll work through an employee accommodation step by step. Let's begin. Log into your BlueDAG account and click on Grievances Plus on the sidebar menu. To start a new reasonable accommodation, click the Add Activity button, then select Grievances from the Activity Type dropdown. A screen for adding new requests will appear. Here, you'll provide information for the person requesting the accommodation. If they have a prior request on file, you can select their name from the requester dropdown, and the fields will populate with their current information. If this is the first request for the person, click the plus button to add the requester to your database. Fill out all fields and click Save. If the person submitting the information is doing so on behalf of someone else, click Yes in the section, then provide the submitter's details. We'll select No here. Next, provide the location where the accommodation is needed. I'll fill in the address of the location. Then I'll click Map It to geolocate coordinates and pin on our map view. I can add some notes about the location if needed. Now I'll provide some details about the request itself. I'll choose the intake method for how I received the request, email in this case. Next, I'll select the type of request I'm working with. I have several choices. A Title II physical access request, a Title II programs or service modification, also known as reasonable modification, which is non-physical, a Title I reasonable accommodation, which is an employee accommodation and the subject of this video, a Title I reasonable modification, which is also employee-focused and non-physical modification, Title VI or other, which is a catch-all workflow for issues and requests that don't fall into the other categories. I'll select reasonable accommodation for Title I employee. Next, I'm asked, is this ADA related? My options are yes, no, or undetermined. I'll select undetermined for now. Feature type describes the physical feature in question. In this case, it's a desk. For the date the incident occurred, I'll put today's date. Next, I'll add some details about the nature of the request, an explanation of the issue, and the accommodation needed. This issue pertains to knee and toe space at the person's desk, which is a physical issue and why we selected a physical request type above. We can add some notes for internal use and any other information that might be helpful with the request. We click Save, and a case is created for the accommodation request. We now have a landing page for the request that follows the layout of BlueDAG data types. The Overview tab is selected by default. Note that the request type is indicated in the page title, and the case number has been automatically assigned to the request. Some shortcut functions are located under the map image, allowing us to quickly add another case to the requester, see other issues open for the requester, see additional cases in this jurisdiction, and so on. We can also see information about this request itself and the current status of this tab. The workflow is driven by steps with due dates assigned to them. We can see the start date of the case, the upcoming step, and the due date for the steps in this area. To begin working on a step, I click its name in the status area. A modal opens up with all the details needed to complete this step. Information and instructions are provided for each step. Click the information bar near the top of the modal and it will expand. In this step, I'm directed to interview the requester and verify all information gathered. I'll indicate that I completed an interview with the requester today. I'll confirm that I verified all of the contact info for the requester. I'm asked if I've reviewed and confirmed the physical location of the barrier in question. I'll answer no as the inspection has not been done yet. For the most recent date that the issue occurred, I'll put today's date. I'll also confirm that we discussed how the issue interferes with access. I can specify the requester's preferred contact method, and there is an other method for unusual communication requests. Here, I'll note the requester needs email messages with large type. I can record my comments about the interview, and I can also record any internal notes about this step. Finally, I'm allowed to confirm or change the type of request based on the interview's outcome. After speaking with the requester, I've confirmed their request is for an employee physical accommodation, so I'll select that choice from the drop-down. I select the type of acknowledgement letter I send to the requester, which will happen in the next step. Note that I can select the person to handle the next step and due date or accept the defaults. Click Transition to complete the interview and move the accommodation request to its next step. We'll see that the status has changed and the due date has been updated for the next step. The current status is also shown on the title bar for the case. To complete the next step, click on its name like before, and the modal will open. This step is pretty simple. We send an acknowledgement letter to the requester confirming the interview details. The appropriate next step in the workflow is already selected for me. Like before, I can pick someone else to handle the next step and change its due date or accept the defaults. Click Transition to complete the next step and advance the workflow. As you can see, the status of the case and the due date for the next step have been updated again. I like to get my work done ahead of schedule, so let's jump right into the next step. The instructions for this step are to review the information gathered in the interview and determine if an inspection is needed. First, I'll classify the request by assigning it a category. My choices are Employee Workstation, Work Area, Employee-Only Facility Space, or Publicly Accessible Facility Space. Note that selecting the last choice will cause the request to transition to an evaluation step, meaning a physical inspection will need to be conducted. I'll choose Workstation since the request concerns an employee desk. Next, I can specify a physical inspection if one is warranted. Like the previous question, doing so will transfer the request to an evaluation step. I can also indicate that the issue has already been inspected or does not require an inspection. I'll indicate that no inspection is needed for this issue. As always, I can add whatever internal notes I feel are necessary. The next step will be to propose an accommodation to the requester, but I could change it to an evaluation step if I had indicated the need for an inspection. Click Transition to move on to the next step. We complete the remainder of the workflow in the same way. Work each step, then transition to the next step until the request is resolved. Like before, review the information for this step, answer each question, and supply the requested information. I'll indicate all the details of the request have been reviewed and the date of the review. I'll then choose my determination from the following choices in the drop-down. The area is compliant with accessibility standards, there is no barrier, and no accommodation needed. The area is compliant with accessibility standards, but will move forward with the accommodations anyway. The area is not compliant, so modifications will be made to accommodate the employee. Fulfilling the accommodation request would create an undue hardship for the employer. Note that selecting the last choice will transition the request to the undue hardship branch of the workflow. I've determined that this area is not compliant and accommodations are warranted, so I'll choose that option. I'll specify who made the decision, in this case me. I'll click Transition to advance the workflow to the next step, where we'll propose an accommodation to the requester. We'll forge ahead and send out accommodation proposal now. We'll preview the content of the proposed letter. All the template letters in BlueDAG can be customized by you and contain merge fields for inserting requester details and information about the case. You can also make changes to the content of the merge letter in the window if you need to add details unique to the case. I'll type the proposed solution here. BlueDAG will insert the text into the letter sent to the requester. The letter will be attached to an email. I can add email addresses to CC in this box. Click Transition to send the proposal to the requester and advance the workflow. In this step, we review the response to our proposal from the requester. Note that the requester has an opportunity to appeal our proposed resolution. The information for this step indicates how to transition it based on the requester's response. The power of BlueDAG's reasonable accommodation workflow is that it captures all information about the case at every single stage of the process. If questions arise, the case history can be reviewed easily and due diligence is supported through automatic documentation. In this example, we'll say that the requester accepted our proposed resolution. We'll record when and how we receive the requester's response. We'll also add notes with more details about the resolution of this case. We can preview the letter we'll send to the requester here. As before, the letter is based on a customizable template, and I can make one-time edits in this preview window. I'm done with this step, so I'll click Transition. The final step in the workflow is implementing the employee accommodation. I can provide estimated and actual completion dates for the accommodation. In this case, I'll make both dates the same. Next, I'll describe the work done to complete the accommodation. This text will be included in the correspondence sent to the requester. I'll transition this step, and now the workflow is complete, and the case is closed. You can browse various data related to the workflow at any time. On the Communication tab, you can view the communication events related to the case. If needed, you can record miscellaneous communication by clicking Add New, filling in a subject, date and time, and any notes about the contact. Note that you can copy this miscellaneous communication to other cases for this requester. I'll add a quick note and log this communication. On the Documents tab, you'll find copies of all the letters generated from the workflow. You can also upload relevant documents for this case, such as copies of communication from the requester. If the request warrants evaluations of the reported barrier, or if one already exists, it can be associated with the workflow via the Evaluation Findings tab. Click Attach Evaluation to open the Evaluation tab. I can use sorting and filtering to locate the evaluation I need, then click on it to select it. If necessary, I can open the evaluation to view its findings. Once I've verified that this is the evaluation I want, I click Attach Selected Evaluation, then click Go Back to Grievances. On the Evaluation Findings tab, all the findings associated with the evaluation are now linked to the workflow. I can click on any finding to open it for review and make needed changes, such as marking it corrected and adding any notes about the remediation. I'll save my changes to this finding and close the tab. The Photos tab is similar to the Documents tab. Here you can upload any miscellaneous pictures related to the request. I can drag and drop images into the space and then click Upload to store them. Click Done and you'll see the images appear as thumbnails. You can click an image to open it and magnify parts for a closer look. Click the edit icon in the corner of the thumbnail to open it in an editor window. You can draw various shapes on the photo, add a descriptive caption, and so on. When you save your changes, you can overwrite the original image or save it as a copy. To delete an image, click the red X in the upper left corner. If you have an image on your clipboard, you can paste it directly to your photo repository. Click the Upload Photos button like before, then click on the box at the bottom of the window and paste the image from your clipboard by pressing Ctrl-V on your keyboard. Click the Upload button to store the pasted image, then click Close. On the Miscellaneous tab, you can review the details of every step in the workflow. Note that every possible step can be viewed here, including steps that you still need to complete or that are not part of your current workflow. Choose a step from the selector to see all the prompts and collect data from that step. You cannot edit anything on this tab. It just provides a way to quickly browse the information related to the request. You can generate a detailed report of the information related to the request at any time. Click on the Overview tab. There's a grievance report link under the map area. Click on that to open up the report generator. You can choose the sections to include in the report here. This tick box will hide the requester's detail to protect their privacy. This option will save a PDF copy of the report to the Documents tab. You can also email someone a link to download the report by providing their email address in this box. Click Submit to generate the report. It will be ready in a few moments. I'll switch to the Documents tab, and the report is already available for review and download. I'll click the report to open it. The report includes a cover page and a table of contents, followed by our work so far. This page contains intake details we collected, minus any personal information. Next, we see the location and jurisdiction for the request. Following that, we see details of relevant inspection findings that we had attached to the request. This includes specific information about the nature of the barrier, code citation, photos, and more. I can click the download icon in my browser to download the full report to my computer. Clicking the back button on my browser returns me to the Documents tab. If you've created a remediation project for barriers related to this request, you can attach them from the Remediation Projects tab. Click the Attach Projects button to view the current projects. Select one that you want and click Attach Selected Projects to bind them to the request. Click Go Back to Grievance and you'll see the attached project listed on the tab. You can click a project to open it. That completes the demonstration of the Employee Reasonable Accommodation workflow in our Grievance Plus module. Thanks for watching.